Imagine a single robot silently crossing rough Ukrainian terrain, carrying the weight of an entire mission on its metallic back. Against it, an entrenched unit of Russian soldiers, confident in their numbers, awaits. Logic would suggest the Russians have the advantage. After all, history has shown that sheer numbers are Russia's strongest weapon in war. But what happened next turned all expectations upside down. On January 7, 2026, Ukraine's NC-13 Robotic Strike Company of the 3rd Army Corps executed a mission that would not only humiliate a Russian unit, but also demonstrate the astonishing evolution of modern warfare. Codenamed Alphabet, the operation involved a single ground-based robot equipped with 12 TM anti-tank mines tasked with striking a Russian position. What followed was nothing short of cinematic. The robot traversed 20 kilometers over 12 miles of treacherous, uneven terrain, all while avoiding detection. This wasn't just a test of endurance, it was a carefully coordinated assault, blending robotics, precision engineering, and battlefield intelligence. The Russian soldiers, confident behind their entrenchments, had no idea what was coming. When the mines detonated, the results were catastrophic. The entire Russian unit was wiped out, leaving Ukrainian forces to walk into a cleared and secured position. The 3rd Army Corps took to Telegram to share the story and the video documenting the mission. This is footage of a successful operation by the fighters of the 3rd Army Corps, as a result of which the enemy group was destroyed and our infantry occupied the liberated area. The Corps announced. They also highlighted the logistical feat. Despite difficult terrain and enemy attempts to intercept it, the robot carried the mines directly to the shelter of the Russian forces. What makes this operation remarkable isn't just the destruction, it's what it symbolizes. Ukraine has transformed what was once a logistical tool into a frontline weapon. These unmanned ground vehicles, or UGVs, were initially designed to deliver supplies, evacuate casualties, or provide intelligence. In cities like Pokrovsk, where Russian forces frequently attempted to cut supply lines, these robots became lifesavers, quietly transporting 90% of all frontline provisions without risking human soldiers. But Alphabet represents the next phase. By equipping a robot with anti-tank mines, specifically the TM-62 and the newly developed TM-2025, Ukraine has shown that it can turn a simple, widely available munition into a weapon of precision destruction. Each mine carries over 7 kilograms of explosives, and with 12 on board, the robot delivered nearly 90 kilograms or 200 pounds of high explosives to a single location. The result was a strike that would have required an entire battalion of soldiers to replicate. The operations video, shared publicly, offers insight into Ukraine's innovative approach. Shot from multiple angles, including drone footage, the robot's perspective, and the operator's concealed command station, it reveals a battlefield now dominated by technology and ingenuity. Remarkably, the robot is controlled through a setup so intuitive that a civilian familiar with video games could operate it effectively. This is a stark reminder. Modern warfare is no longer solely about manpower. It is increasingly defined by technological mastery. Ukraine's adaptation of its mines is equally impressive. The TM-2025 mines include a new electromechanical fuse and a secondary fuse that allows remote detonation. This enables a robot to deliver the mines and detonate them precisely when in position, turning what was once a defensive weapon into an offensive strike tool. It's a small but decisive innovation that amplifies the robot's impact and underscores Ukraine's ability to improvise in ways Russia did not anticipate. This isn't the first time Ukraine has repurposed its technology creatively. In previous operations, TM mines have been used in aerial drone strikes and as improvised satchel charges. But the scale and precision demonstrated by the NC-13 Strike Company indicate a new level of sophistication. Ukraine is proving that even when facing a larger adversary, ingenuity and technology can level the playing field, or tilt it entirely in their favor. The consequences for Russia are profound. Their traditional advantage over overwhelming numbers is now mitigated by the presence of robots that can strike with surgical precision. One robot, one mission, and an entire unit is neutralized. For Vladimir Putin, it's a stark warning. The battlefield is evolving, and Russia's numerical superiority may no longer guarantee victory. Meanwhile, Ukraine's investment in UGV continues at pace. By the end of 2025, nearly 15,000 ground robots had been delivered to Ukrainian forces, with plans to exceed 20,000 in 2026. Domestic innovation is flourishing through initiatives like the Brave One Defense Tech platform, which connects soldiers with equipment manufacturers, fostering rapid development and deployment of advanced systems. With over 270 Ukrainian companies developing UGV and 70 systems already standardized for military use, the scale of Ukraine's robotic expansion is both strategic and unprecedented. The strategic implications are clear. UGV preserve human life, reduce operational risk, and maximize battlefield efficiency. For Ukraine, which faces both manpower shortages and recruitment challenges, robots are a force multiplier. With the ongoing exodus of young Ukrainians and mobilization constraints, unmanned systems like these robots are essential for maintaining operational tempo. The Alphabet operation is a vivid illustration of this reality, one robot performing the work and achieving the results of an entire Russian unit. Yet, this is just the beginning. Ground robots are increasingly integrated with aerial drones, combining intelligence, reconnaissance, and firepower in a seamless operational package. Even as Ukraine's drones continue to deliver devastating long-range strikes, inflicting billions in damage on Russian assets, the ground-based UGV are emerging as a decisive complement, capable of precise, frontline impact. Alphabet is more than a single mission. It is a signal the future of war is here, and it is technological, adaptive, and inventive. Ukraine has demonstrated that even a smaller nation facing a numerically superior adversary can leverage innovation to redefine the battlefield. One robot, carrying a dozen mines, has not only cleared a Russian position, but has reshaped strategic thinking, proving that the most unexpected tools often wield the greatest power. In this new reality of war, ground robots are not just assistants or logistical aids. They are frontline soldiers, capable of turning the tide with speed, stealth, and precision. As Ukraine continues to expand its UGV program and integrate it with broader military strategies, one thing is certain: the battlefield will never look the same again. In warfare, numbers often dictate the outcome. Russia has long relied on its sheer manpower to overwhelm opponents, but in Ukraine, the tables are turning. A combination of innovation, robotics, and tactical ingenuity is allowing Ukrainian forces to neutralize larger Russian units with precision strike, minimizing risk to their own soldiers while maximizing damage to the enemy. One of the most striking examples of this new approach occurred on January 7, 2026, when Ukraine's NC-13 Robotic Strike Company of the 3rd Army Corps carried out a mission that would become a benchmark for modern battlefield tactics. The operation, codenamed Alphabet, involved a single unmanned ground vehicle, or UGV, tasked with striking a Russian position. The robot carried 12 anti-tank mines, nearly 90 kilograms of explosives, across 20 kilometers of challenging terrain, reaching the target undetected and delivering a devastating blow that annihilated the Russian unit. This mission highlights two key themes: first, the strategic adaptation of technology in warfare, and second, how Ukraine is addressing its own manpower challenges. Ground robots, initially designed for logistics and casualty evacuation, are now being transformed into offensive weapons capable of executing precision strikes that would normally require an entire battalion. The logistical and technological planning behind the Alphabet operation is notable. UGV operators navigated the robot remotely from a concealed location, relying on a combination of real-time video feeds from drones and the robot itself. The system is surprisingly intuitive. Operators use a setup similar to a video game controller, which allows for high levels of control and responsiveness. Despite the presence of enemy forces attempting to intercept it, the robot delivered its payload accurately, demonstrating that even small, remotely controlled systems can achieve strategic-level outcomes when deployed thoughtfully. Central to the success of this mission was Ukraine's creative use of munitions. The TM-62 anti-tank mine, a Soviet-era design, has been repurposed into an offensive tool. Ukraine has also developed its own variant, the TM-2025, which includes a secondary electromechanical fuse and the ability for remote detonation. By adapting a conventional landmine into a weapon that can be deployed by a robot with precision timing, Ukraine has significantly increased the tactical value of its existing stockpiles. The impact of this adaptation is twofold. First, it neutralizes Russia's numerical advantage. One robot carrying 12 mines achieved the destruction of a unit that would have required dozens of soldiers to engage directly. Second, it preserves Ukrainian manpower, a critical consideration given the ongoing strain on recruitment and conscription. With many young Ukrainians leaving the country or being ineligible for mobilization, technological solutions like UGV serve as force multipliers, allowing Ukraine to achieve results that would otherwise be impossible given its manpower limitations. But the Alphabet mission also demonstrates the broader operational potential of UGV. Beyond offensive strikes, these robots are increasingly being used for reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. Smaller, tracked, wheeled, and even quadruped robots provide real-time video from the battlefield, capturing enemy positions and movements while remaining difficult to detect. By integrating these ground robots with aerial drones, Ukraine can create a comprehensive operational picture, combining the reach of drones with the precision and payload capacity of ground systems. The strategic implications extend beyond individual missions. By the end of 2025, Ukraine had delivered nearly 15,000 UGV to its forces, with plans to surpass 20,000 in 2026. Domestic innovation, supported by platforms like Brave One, has enabled rapid development of new UGV models, with over 270 Ukrainian companies participating in the program. 70 of these systems have already been standardized and deployed in combat. The scale and pace of development suggest that ground robots will continue to play an increasingly central role in Ukraine's strategy. Ground robots are also being used to mitigate logistical and operational risks. In cities like Pokrovsk, where Russian forces frequently attempt to cut supply lines, UGV transport food, ammunition, and medical supplies without endangering soldiers. Nearly 90% of frontline supplies in that region are delivered via UGV, highlighting the technology's efficiency and reliability under fire. These robots reduce the need for risky human operations, freeing personnel for combat roles while maintaining operational tempo in contested areas. The versatility of UGV is another crucial advantage. In addition to supply transport and reconnaissance, Ukraine has modified some robots to carry weapons such as grenade launchers or precision-guided explosive charges. These platforms can operate in harsh terrain and execute high-risk missions that would otherwise result in heavy casualties. The NC-13 operation is just one example of how UGV can deliver effects equivalent to, or exceeding, that of conventional human forces. Russia, on the other hand, is still heavily reliant on traditional troop deployments. While they have started developing their own UGV, their operational use remains limited compared to Ukraine's. The Alphabet mission exposed the vulnerabilities of conventional forces when faced with remotely operated, high-impact systems. One robot, undetected until detonation, neutralized a full Russian unit, a scenario that underscores how emerging technologies can redefine battlefield outcomes. Looking forward, the strategic calculus for both sides is clear. Ukraine's UGV program not only addresses manpower shortages, but also provides a scalable and flexible response to the challenges of modern warfare. By combining ground robots with aerial drones and integrating advanced munitions, Ukraine is leveraging technological asymmetry to counteract Russia's numerical and territorial advantages. Moreover, the success of operations like Alphabet sends a powerful psychological message. Russian forces can no longer rely solely on numbers or entrenchment. Every unit is now potentially vulnerable to unmanned strikes, forcing a reassessment of tactics, positioning, and defensive measures. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces gain confidence and operational freedom, knowing that UGV can execute high-risk missions without exposing human soldiers to direct danger. Finally, the broader implications for modern warfare cannot be ignored. Alphabet demonstrates a shift in how conflicts are fought. Precision, adaptability, and technological integration increasingly outweigh raw manpower. It also illustrates how nations under pressure can innovate rapidly, turning conventional resources into force multipliers and redefining the battlefield on their own terms. In sum, the Alphabet operation represents a watershed moment for Ukraine's military. It exemplifies how innovation, technology, and strategic foresight can neutralize traditional advantages like Russian numerical superiority. Through the integration of UGV, adapted munitions, and sophisticated operational planning, Ukraine is reshaping the battlefield, protecting its soldiers, and achieving results once thought impossible. One robot, 12 mines, and a well-coordinated mission. This is the new reality of war, and Ukraine is leading the charge. On January 7, 2026, Ukraine's NC-13 Robotic Strike Company of the 3rd Army Corps executed a mission that would redefine the battlefield. Using a single unmanned ground vehicle, or UGV, they struck a Russian position with devastating effect. The operation, codenamed Alphabet, involved the robot carrying 12 anti-tank mines across 20 kilometers of rough terrain. When the mines detonated, an entire Russian unit was destroyed, and Ukrainian infantry quickly secured the area. The details of this mission highlight both the strategic and technological evolution in Ukraine's military operations. Ground robots, once primarily used for logistical support and casualty evacuation, are now integral to offensive operations. The Alphabet mission demonstrated how a single UGV, remotely controlled, can deliver explosives with surgical precision, neutralizing enemy units without risking Ukrainian soldiers. The technical specifications of the mission are notable. The UGV carried 12 TM-62 or TM-2025 anti-tank mines, totaling nearly 90 kilograms of explosives. The robot traveled 20 kilometers through difficult terrain, avoiding detection by Russian forces. Operators controlled the vehicle remotely from a concealed location, relying on live video feeds from both the robot and reconnaissance drones. The simplicity of the control system, a console similar to a video game controller, enabled precise navigation and accurate delivery of the payload. From a military perspective, the mission showcases several key advantages of UGV deployment. First, it mitigates manpower limitations. Ukraine faces significant challenges in recruiting and mobilizing troops. Reports indicate that of 30,000 draftees toward the end of 2025, only 2,000 to 3,000 actually reached the front lines. Additionally, many young Ukrainians are leaving the country or are ineligible for conscription due to age limits, leaving Ukraine at a numerical disadvantage in many contested areas. Ground robots serve as force multipliers, capable of performing high-risk operations that would otherwise require large numbers of soldiers. Second, UGV provide operational flexibility. Beyond combat operations, they are used for reconnaissance, logistics, and casualty evacuation. In cities such as Pokrovsk, ground robots deliver nearly 90% of frontline supplies, including food, ammunition, and medical equipment, without exposing soldiers to enemy fire. Smaller, tracked, wheeled, and even quadruped robots are increasingly deployed for intelligence gathering, offering real-time video of enemy positions while remaining difficult to detect. Integration with aerial drones further enhances situational awareness, creating a coordinated network of unmanned systems. The strategic implications of the Alphabet mission extend beyond a single strike. By eliminating an entire Russian unit with one robot, Ukraine demonstrates that technological innovation can neutralize traditional advantages like numerical superiority. Russian forces, long confident in their manpower, are now forced to consider the risks posed by remotely operated systems that can strike with precision and unpredictability. This shift compels changes in positioning, defensive strategies, and troop deployment. Equally significant is the adaptation of munitions for robotic use. The TM-62 anti-tank mine, a legacy Soviet design, has been repurposed for remote deployment. Ukraine's new variant, the TM-2025, incorporates electromechanical fuses and remote detonation capabilities, enabling precision strikes while minimizing the risk to Ukrainian personnel. 12 mines deployed by a single robot can replicate, or exceed, the destructive effect of a full infantry assault, demonstrating how conventional weapons can be reimagined when integrated with modern technology. The scaling of Ukraine's UGV program further reinforces its strategic importance. By the end of 2025, approximately 15,000 ground robots had been delivered to Ukrainian forces, with plans to exceed 20,000 by 2026. The Brave One Defense Tech Innovation Platform has accelerated domestic development, connecting soldiers with 270 Ukrainian companies to produce UGV. 70 of these systems have already been standardized for operational use, highlighting the pace and efficiency of Ukraine's technological adaptation. Operational data also underscores the growing role of UGV in combat. While unmanned aerial vehicles remain the primary tool for strikes, accounting for roughly 60% of all drone missions as of November 2025, ground robots are emerging as a complementary force. In November, UGV were responsible for only 0.66% of missions, but this figure reflects their relatively recent integration and the historical challenges posed by terrain and mobility. With recent innovations like the Alphabet mission, the utilization of ground robots is expected to increase dramatically. Manpower constraints make the strategic deployment of UGV even more critical. Russia maintains a numerical advantage in many contested regions, with ratios ranging from 3:1 to as high as 6:1. Meanwhile, Ukraine faces recruitment challenges and a shrinking pool of eligible personnel due to emigration and age restrictions. By deploying UGV, Ukraine can achieve operational objectives without further straining its limited human resources, preserving soldiers for high-value tasks while relying on robots for high-risk or high-impact missions. The operational flexibility of UGV also enables rapid adaptation to battlefield conditions. Robots can carry explosives, weapons, or supplies. They can conduct reconnaissance, gather intelligence, and evacuate casualties. The NC-13 strike company's success demonstrates that a WELP, land robotic operation, can replicate the effects of conventional troop deployments, minimizing exposure and maximizing efficiency. Ground robots thus serve as both a tactical and strategic asset, expanding Ukraine's operational options in ways previously unavailable. In addition to combat applications, the Alphabet mission provides a psychological advantage. Russian troops now face a threat that is difficult to detect, anticipate, or counter. The knowledge that a single robot can destroy an entire unit introduces uncertainty and forces caution, slowing advances and complicating operational planning. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces gain confidence in their technological edge, knowing they can neutralize high-risk objectives while minimizing casualties. Finally, the Alphabet mission reflects the broader trajectory of modern warfare, where technology and innovation are reshaping combat dynamics. UJV represent a shift from reliance on human manpower to the integration of autonomous and remotely operated systems capable of precision, flexibility, and survivability. By leveraging robotics, Ukraine is achieving force multiplication, countering Russia's numerical advantage, and redefining what is possible on the battlefield. In conclusion, the January 7 Alphabet operation is more than a tactical success, it is a strategic statement. It demonstrates Ukraine's ability to integrate robotics, adapt munitions, and overcome manpower limitations to achieve decisive battlefield outcomes. Ground robots are no longer auxiliary tools. They are frontline combatants, capable of transforming the balance of power and setting new standards for modern warfare. One robot, 12 minds, and precise execution. The Alphabet mission illustrates the future of conflict, where innovation and technology often determine victory more than numbers alone.